The much-anticipated visit of the Honourable Minister of Transportation, Engineer Muazu Jaji Sambo, to Nigerian Shippers Council finally took place. And when he came, he was bearing gifts that left a big smile plastered on the collective faces of staff. That visit is the subject of today's programme, plus the usual tidbits on maritime events around the world. It's a package on today's The Shipper that you should not miss, and it will be brought to you after this short break. Stay with us.
Nigerian Shippers Council, they to serve you well. No matter the problem, we go solve them for you.
Yes, so the Nigerian Shippers Council, they feel in a parole now for every level. And as soon as goods, they move from port A, go enter port B with a measure within on a needle. For the Nigerian Shippers Council, we don't sharp proper to fit hear you wella, work with you wella, and help you fit serve your customers them better, no matter where them day. As we country port economic regulator, the Nigerian Shippers Council get every now to fit make government consider the problem where shippers them they face. Visit we office for number 4 or to buy your daily show your daily. Papa, email us for nsc@shipperscouncil.gov.ng. We website now www.shipperscouncil.gov.ng.
For you, we dey gidigba,
Nigerian Shippers Council with a meeting now for the port of Nani.
Welcome back. My name is Rekia Zikru Yagboyaju, and you're watching The Shipper, brought to you by Nigerian Shippers Council. The Shipper is Nigeria's flagship and authentic program on television on maritime activities. Engineer Muazu Jaji Sambo, Nigeria's Transportation Minister, has given Nigerian Shippers Council the assignment of coming up with a template for the establishment of a port community system before the 29th of May this year. This was just one of the many tasks assigned Shippers Council when he came visiting for a full day of what some have described as repositioning the nation's port economic regulator and giving bite to its bark.
There was a need for this visit in order to not only re-emphasize, but to strategically position the Nigerian Shippers Council in the minds of the stakeholders in the maritime industry as to the role of the Nigerian Shippers Council as port economic regulator. There were certain directives, that the minister took the opportunity of that visit, to put on the front burner and to give clear directions to the Nigerian Shippers Council as to what needed to be done. So, for example, the implementation of the cargo tracking note. The next very important milestone that the minister took note of and directed was, of course, the introduction, the development, the establishment of the port community system. The objective of the port system in our country will be for us to achieve the status of being the maritime hub, at least here in our sub-region.
When it comes online, it will go a long way in blocking revenue leakages in the places of under declaration of cargo and false declaration of cargo. And you see that will have a direct impact on the revenue of the GDP of the country and help the country to earn more.
One thing we should understand that the staff of Shippers Council are professionals. We have a lot of trained. That is the advantage we have in the Nigerian Shippers Council. We have trained personnel. There is no challenge the staff of the council cannot combat. The task has been given. It's for Nigerian Shippers Council, management and staff to go back to the drawing board and begin to look at the issues and how best to tackle those issues.
For me, as a staff of Nigerian Shippers Council, I am going to be more focused and committed to the task given to me in order to succeed on this assignment. I will also make sure that I encourage teamwork with my colleagues in the office who share knowledge so that we'll be able to succeed on the task.
I want to tell you that Shippers Council is ready, that we are prepared for the task ahead. We'd already put all the machineries in place. We are prepared. We have the structure, we have everything it takes to carry out this task effectively, and we'll make the minister proud.
Additional Abiodun, who covered that visit for the shipper, put together this report presented by Lucy Ulugbe.
There is no doubt that the present administration has continued to take steps to reform the nation's maritime sector to achieve efficiency, increased cargo throughput, and thereby create wealth and job opportunities in Nigeria. The creation of a port community system aimed at streamlining port operations and processes to make them more efficient, like what obtains in most advanced and some smaller destinations like Togo, which is the transshipment leader in the West African sub-region, is one of the goals. The Minister of Transportation placed the responsibility of coordinating the establishment of a port community system, which he felt was long overdue, on Nigerian Shippers Council. As the port economic regulator, the minister wants Shippers Council to work vigorously with other government agencies to make this happen before this administration winds up in May 2023.
Let us look at a country that has a PCS working for them and just replicate that template in Nigeria. Simple. Cut and paste. Otumba.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
It's working for them.
Yes.
Why can't it work for us? It's a question of direct procurement. We're not going to circumvent the law of the land. The Public Procurement Act gives us opportunity to do direct procurement. So if we have one system that works very well in Benin here, we can go to Benin and pick it up and get presidential approval for direct procurement and replicate it by those who operate or install it there and are operating it. How can Nigeria, with over 200 million people, with the largest GDP in Africa, not have a port community system? It's unacceptable. So you need to coordinate. In fact, I'm going to give you that role. In fact, I've given you that role today.
He disclosed that government views the creation of a port community system seriously and will provide Shippers Council and other agencies with the necessary support needed to succeed in that regard. The minister believes that having a single window is attainable if only the country had a functioning port community system.
It's important that work goes on, and government is a continuum. I'm going to call you and the other agencies and roll out this issue. The Federal Ministry of Transportation is now saddled with a heavy responsibility through the Nigerian Shippers Council to ensure that the confidence that Mr. President has placed in us is not misplaced. And I dare say that it is a very heavy responsibility. And you have to hit the ground running.
On renewal of concessioning of terminal operators' leases, Sambo wants the MPA and relevant agencies like Nigerian Shippers Council to always work together towards achieving operational efficiency.
The Nigerian Ports Authority ought not to have recommended to the ministry the renewal of the leases of the concessions without an input from NSC. Because the port reform is actually meant to achieve what? So many things: efficiency, increased cargo, revenues, and so on and so forth. For each terminal, you will look at the original agreement. You will look at the key performance indicators that they are supposed to meet with, including development plans, cargo traffic, revenues, and so on and so forth. The obligations that were incumbent upon them, how have they performed? And there will be a table, everything should be clear where we were at 2006 and where we are today. So for each terminal that is due for renewal, we must look at these KPIs and then score them with verifiable data, which we must attach as annexures to the council memo.
Sambo announced that the federal government has approved the International Cargo Tracking Note. He asked Nigerian Shippers Council to ensure the implementation of Cargo Tracking Note. To rousing applause, the minister added that a proposal to allow International Cargo Tracking Note be extended to crude oil cargoes has been submitted to President Muhammadu Buhari. Executive Secretary, Nigerian Shippers Council, Honorable Emmanuel Jime, briefed the minister on some of the achievements of council. Jime told the minister that Shippers Council needed to continue to expedite the process of developing the inland dry port infrastructure and other facilities like the vehicle transit areas, VTAs, being promoted by it. Jime said the legal framework of Shippers Council needs to be strengthened to enable it function optimally and engender efficiency in the maritime sector.
I, speaking as a lawyer, will say to you that the Shippers Council and the Act, as constituted, does not enable the Nigerian Shippers Council to perform the functions that will bring about the desired efficiency in our port in a way that we're able to do it. And so, I have pushed this matter to you. You have been kind. You have constituted a ministerial committee that is looking at the possibility of getting the Nigerian Shippers Council Act reviewed. And knowing you for who you are, and I believe that when you make a commitment and a promise, I believe that the Nigerian Shippers Council Act will be reviewed, will be amended, and the correction that is required in that act will be done in the remaining time that you have in office.
Jime told the minister that council has been grappling with inadequate funding since it's been difficult to access the 1% freight stabilization levy, which should be the main source of funding for Nigerian Shippers Council.
Today, we're reliant on what government in its wisdom decided to bring about as source of revenue as a stopgap, and it's called 2/7% of port development levy. This is a source of revenue that, technically speaking, has no real legal backing as of today. That is one challenge. Also, the fact that it is completely inadequate. And today, again, I can announce that the minister, in his wisdom, has constituted a ministerial committee that is looking at this issue. And I have heard from the grapevine, sir, that the ministerial committee you put in place have finished its work and have made very, very beautiful recommendations. And I believe that when you leave, maybe you will just simply ask me to come and follow you to Abuja. And that may very well be.
Deputy Director, Strategic Planning and Research Department of Shippers Council, Olurotimi Anifowose, made a presentation highlighting efforts by the agency to ensure efficient, transparent, and competitive operations at the nation's seaports, apart from recording tremendous progress in cost recovery running into billions of naira through the Port Standing Task Team. He disclosed that the task team has saved an average of $20,000 per day on demurrage from 2021 to 2022, translating into $3.5 million or 5.4 billion naira.
Over the time, the council has been able to facilitate the review of tariff for shipping lines and seaport terminals that requested for this tariff review. We have also been able to steer and facilitate the publication of the guideline on setting and modification of tariff, rates, and charges for regulated service providers. The Council has equally been able to steer successfully digitalization of port operations. The level of our intervention has caused an improvement in the port operations from 45% to 70%. The Council has also ensured the signing of Memorandum of Understanding between Nigerian Shippers Council, NSC, and Nigeria Customs Service, NCS. This resulted in the emergence of a service level agreement between Nigerian Shippers Council and Nigeria Customs Service. Honorable Minister, the implementation for this committee for the MOU has been inaugurated. Stakeholders sensitization program and launching of operational manual for inland dry ports in Nigeria. Now, this manual, sir, was presented to stakeholders nationwide, and it captured the step-by-step procedures for receiving, storing, handling, and delivery of cargoes, as well as highlighting the operations, the responsibilities of agencies, and timelines for discharging their duties. The Council has vigorously pursued the establishment of Border Information Center in Ufom, Cross River State. That is the border with Cameroon. The Council partnered with the ECOWAS Commission and Economic Community of Central African States, ECAS, and established this BIC. The Council is in the forefront of promoting the enactment of a regulatory legal regime to regulate carried goods, which is by land, road, and rail, to fill an identified gap in the inland transportation of goods in Nigeria.
The visit had in attendance members of Nigerian Shippers Council Board, top management of Shippers Council, and some top officials of the Ministry of Transportation.
From being made the port economic regulator through hard work and dedication, Nigerian Shippers Council has earned for itself responsibility of coordinator of the port economic system. It's a daunting task, which the Executive Secretary of Shippers Council, Honorable Emmanuel Jime, and his team have assured the Minister that they will achieve before the 29th of May 2023. As is often said, the reward for hard work is more work. It's time now to wade over to the Tidbits Corner, where Oluwasegun Aloko is standing by.
Nigerian Shippers Council has announced that the proposed vehicle transit area in Lokoja, Kogi State will create over 2,000 jobs and generate substantial revenues for investors and the government. Covering a 40-kilometer land size, the facility will consist of various amenities, including 1,200 truck parking lots, 300 cars, 64 businesses, restaurants, accommodation, and vehicle maintenance facilities. Speaking to journalists at the Bidders Conference in Abuja, Deputy Director, Public-Private Partnership, Nigerian Shippers Council, Mustafa Zubairu, stated that preferred bidders will be selected based on their track record and compliance with regulatory requirements.
Everybody can bid. Criteria has been laid whereby the company must be a registered company. There is experience in terms of personnel, in terms of the industry experience on the project, whether they had done similar project elsewhere. And then we have compliances whereby they are expected to comply with the tax clearance. Then there are other compliances with other agencies in terms of National Pension Act. So all these compliances are some of the documents that are expected. Then the company registration. So they are supposed to submit, and then they will be evaluated on that basis before moving to the next stage.
In other news, Nigeria has been removed from the International Bargaining Forum, IBF's list of countries designated as navigation risks. The move comes after improved naval operations and enhanced security architecture in Nigeria's maritime domain, according to Chief of Naval Staff, Vice Admiral Awal Gambo. The removal of Nigeria from the list is expected to lead to a reduction in insurance premiums paid by ships operating in Nigeria's waters, potentially making shipping and cargo trade more cost-effective. The IBF has also called for double compensation for seafarers who die or suffer disability in the Gulf of Guinea. We advise stakeholders in the maritime industry to visit the Council's website, www.shipperscouncil.gov.ng, to access more information about our services and use the PSSP portal, www.pssp.ng, to file any complaints. Next on Tidbit is our weekly complaint register. We received only one complaint in the week February 26 to March 4, 2023, and it's currently under investigation. The subject matter of the complaint is detention fee. It's commendable to see that the Council's efforts to tackle irregularities in the port are yielding positive results, as evidenced by the reduction in the number of complaints received. Moving on now to global maritime news. Zim Integrated Shipping Services and Ian Transport and Steve Doran Joint Stock Company, HAT, have formed a joint venture called Lotus Link to operate domestic shipping services in Vietnam. The joint venture will serve major Vietnamese ports, including Ho Chi Minh City, Da Nang, and Hai Phong, as well as satellite provinces where direct access to shipping services is limited. Lotus Link plans to launch its first service this month and expand its presence in Ho Chi Minh City and Da Nang later this year. The initiative aims to benefit Vietnamese manufacturers, importers, and exporters. In a move towards decarbonization, Hapag-Lloyd has signed a multi-year agreement with Shell Western Energy to supply liquefied natural gas to Hapag-Lloyd's ultra-large dual-fuel container vessels of 23,500 TEUs, reducing carbon dioxide intensity by up to 23% and supporting the almost complete reduction of particle emissions. Bunkering will commence in 2023 in the port of Rotterdam, with the modern ships deployed on Europe-Asia routes calling at major ports. Shell and Hapag-Lloyd have also entered into a strategic collaboration to accelerate the further decarbonization of alternative marine fuels, with a focus on low-carbon fuels such as liquefied biomethane and the hydrogen-based fuel liquefied e-methane. A delegation from the Suez Canal Economic Zone, SE Zone, led by Walid Gamal, chairman of SE Zone, and Mohamed Abubakar, Egyptian ambassador to Japan, recently explored investment opportunities in the SE Zone. The delegation presented an array of green projects to 100 Japanese economic entities, including companies, banks, and financing and international cooperation institutions. Meetings were held with the Japan Overseas Infrastructure Investment Corporation for Transport and Urban Development, JOIN, and Marubeni Corporation, with SE Zone and JOIN agreeing to sign a memorandum of understanding in several fields. And that concludes the Tidbit segment for this week.
The Nigerian Shippers Council is now better poised with responsive systems in place to help you and other shippers get seamless, stress-free transition for your clients' goods from point A to B. Today at the Nigerian Shippers Council, timeliness, orderliness, transparency, and efficiency is all we care about. Put your complaint through to our helpline. Visit us at number 4 Ayodele Shoyode Lane, Apapa, Lagos, or reach us on www.shipperscouncil.gov.ng.
Nigerian Shippers Council, we meet you at the point of your need.
Nigerian Shippers Council, we meet you at the port of your needs.
And this is the point at which we come ashore on the Shipper this week. Do join us again next week for another exciting voyage. Before we take our weekly shore leave, a quick reminder to all regulated service providers, including government agencies, that it is compulsory to register with Nigerian Shippers Council. Thanks for watching, and do have a swimmingly great week ahead.
Thank you.